that. That was like a false alarm there. I went live, but I didn't go live. We're a couple minutes late. All right.
That's okay.
So the big day is here finally. I know we've been so excited, right?
I love it. I'm so jazzed. I'm so jazzed for this author, for this live. It's going to be fantastic.
Yay!
I am fangirling so much. Can't wait. I've been looking forward to this for a long while.
Awesome. So I'm going to introduce you guys to the group, and then we're going to pull in the star of the show. So you guys know me. I'm Rebecca. I'm the admin founder of the Urban Romance Fantasy Paranormal Romance Book Lovers. Say that 10 times fast. But that's what you're seeing this, so you know. And then Amy is a mod, Amy Reynolds in the group.
Hi, everyone.
And then Dawn Higgins is also a mod in the group as well.
Hi, everybody. Hi. How is everybody?
It's a beautiful Saturday. It's 10 a.m. my time. What time is it for you, Dawn, in the UK?
It is just after 3 p.m. in the afternoon.
Awesome. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's bring in our star. I know we're all super excited because we're diehard Dark Secret fans. So let's bring her in. Here is Angie Hudson.
Hi, Angie.
Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. We're so happy you're here, Angie.
Yeah, this is awesome. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah.
Very excited.
We were just talking about what time it is for all of us. I'm 10 a.m. Dawn is 3 p.m. What time is it for you?
10:04 p.m.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Well, pretty much my bedtime.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. We really appreciate it so much.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yay. Okay, so what we're gonna do today, and actually there's some noise in the background. Are you guys hearing that? It's like
a TV.
Is it just? It may be a TV or something. I don't know, Dawn. We might be hearing the boys potentially.
No, that's 2 rooms away.
Okay, so no.
Yeah,
all right.
No.
Maybe it's just me. All right. So if you have, okay, cool. So there's comments. Hey, yay, we've got some comments on the right. Amy's going to be watching the comments as the call goes on. If you guys sign in as, like there's a way to do it. So right now we're just seeing Facebook user. So if you, I don't know how exactly to do it. Amy, do you know how you sign in so that you get your real name?
You have to allow StreamYard to see it. So if you sign in to StreamYards, but I don't really know the technical
side of that. Sorry. So if you didn't sign in with your name and you're just commenting, just make sure you drop who you are in your comment so we can see who you are. Because right now we're saying good morning, hey ladies, thanks for joining us. But I don't know who it is, or we don't know who it is. So that would be great.
Yeah, you do have to sign into StreamYard to get your name up, because I did that before. You have to click on the link, the StreamYard link, and then follow what it tells you to do. And then when you comment, it'll come up with your name. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. So guys, do that if you can. So what we're going to do is we have some questions that we've gathered. So we're going to go over those. We're going to talk about the questions. If you have anything you want to ask Angie, drop it in the comments. We're going to ask Angie about what she's working on and what's going on. And it's just going to be, fun. Now, Angie's main series is Dark Secrets. That's what we're primarily talking about, but we can talk about some of your other series too. That's okay. Today. And we're going to try really hard not to do any kind of big spoilers, so that, you know, if you guys have been seeing around in our group, I know we mentioned Dark Secrets a lot, and you're wondering, like, what is that all about? You know, you're going to do this call, and you're not going to be spoiled or anything. So,
yeah. It's hard. It's going to be hard not to say any spoilers.
I know.
Very hard.
I know. All right. So
especially for me.
Angie, do you want to, anything you want to say before we start firing away?
Lots of things, probably. It's probably worth mentioning to people that we do have a bit of an audio delay. So, you know, if I come in a bit late, it's not because I'm not actually here. But yeah, so no, your group has grown so fast. It's unbelievable. And, you know, I just like, how do you feel about that? Are you completely stoked?
Oh,
over the moon? Like, it's just, last year it was only 15 members when it started, and now it's 14,000. Like, unheard of. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, no, it's, oh my gosh, it's crazy. It's, you know, and like every day it surprises me. I keep thinking one day it won't surprise me. Every day. I'm like completely shocked by it. You know, I don't think I'll ever stop saying, "Oh my gosh," you know, 8 months ago it was 15 people, and now it's, you know, whatever.
It's amazing, and they're all really great people too. Like everyone's it's really good community. You know, best book group. So
Thanks. I feel like we must be doing something right. I know we rub some people wrong because we're very, very positive, and you wouldn't think that would do it, but people get upset sometimes that they can't like vent about books. But that's just not what we're here for, you know.
Yeah.
We just want to love
the best
books.
group.
That's what we want to do.
It's definitely one of the best, the best group I've been in. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And best book recommendations, which is the most important thing. So yeah, I've seen a lot of recommendations on there that I've added to my list. So it's good.
Yeah, that's kind of the big thing for me is I really want it to be a positive place where the regular reader can get real recommendations. That's like my mission statement. I like stay laser focused on that. So,
I was going to ask that, like, what's the mission statement for the group? But that's perfect. Yeah,
it's short, sweet, and simple, and then everything goes around that. And like every rule has been really thought out. And you know, we have a mod chat with 9 women, and they're amazing. And we talk about all this stuff. We just, you know, like they bring stuff. They say, "Hey, have you thought about doing this?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's a great idea." And you know, we're constantly refining and navigating and trying to be better. You know. So, yeah. I'm very lucky to have them. But
yes,
we love to be here. We're loving being here.
Oh, that's awesome! Yay, that makes me so happy. Yay. Yeah. Okay, well, enough about me. Let's talk about you.
Come on, then. Yeah.
Disney reference.
So let's talk about Dark Secrets. Tell us about Dark Secrets.
Yeah,
we'll start diving in.
See, that's a really hard question. When people ask me that, I'm like, oh God, it's a book. It's a book about vampires. And that's pretty much all I can come up with. So I'm terrible. I wasn't born for this. It's a twisted, messed up, dark, heartbreaking, devastating book series. So that's probably the most positive thing I can say about it. It's going to hurt you.
Yeah.
And I enjoy doing it.
Yeah. So, you know, a lot of, you know, one of the questions that I saw was that, you know, a lot of people liken it to Twilight, like the first book. And, you know, and then it like, I know you're probably like, so how do you feel about that when you hear people say that? What do you think about that? And then like, what is your, you know, what are your thoughts on how the series changes from Twilight?
I think it's almost an honor to be compared to Twilight, you know, because I was actually a fan of the Twilight books. So I think that's a good thing. Yeah. And I still love them. So I think that's a good thing. However, I think that they were a lot more mild. So if someone were to compare Dark Secrets to Twilight, it could be a little bit dangerous because people might think, oh, I'm getting a nice sparkly romance, and then they read it and their socks get knocked off. So and I suppose it's very different. Like it changes. It does have the high school thing in the beginning because I liked the idea of that, introducing a character when they're very young so that you can grow with them. But yeah, it changes from that very quickly and there's no more high school. And the first book is very mild because she is only 17 and I didn't feel right putting, you know, love scenes, sex scenes in with a 17-year-old character. It just felt a bit creepy. So I had to wait till she was 18 to do any of that. So yeah, so it's quite mild in the first book, but then things get really different. So
it sure does. You know, I always say, like when anyone sees me comment, I'm like, okay, guys, yes, it feels kind of like you get kind of tricked that it's like this little sweet romance, you know, like, you know, David is a little bit like Edward, you know, but then the masquerade ball comes and oh my gosh, like all bets are off.
You meet Jason.
You meet Jace, right? And Jace is David's
twin brother.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep. Evil twin brother, I suppose, that at the first meeting.
Evil.
Yeah. He comes across that way, I suppose.
Yeah. And like in the fandom, right? There's like people really are Team David or they're really Team Jace. Like, and it's Die Hard. And like I'm torn. So
very Die Hard.
Team Jace mug. And then I've also got my team David.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have them both. That's what I'm gonna do.
Why choose?
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. Exactly.
I chose all the way through until the very end. All the way through. I was a Die Hard fan all the way through.
Of David.
Yes. Oh God, yes. Yes.
So how about you, Die Hard Jace fan?
Yeah. I'm like, I always make jokes like when I let authors lead me. So I'm like a horse drawn to water. Like whatever Angie wants me to like, I'm like, yes, let's do this. I'm doing it.
But did you ever like Mike? Because I wanted everyone to like him
I
at
loved
first.
him. A lot of people
good.
don't. I did. I
I
loved him.
I did, and then I didn't, and then I did again. It was one of them.
Yeah. So speaking of Mike,
but a certain person I didn't like begins with E.
Oh,
Eric?
Yeah, Emily.
No, I love Eric.
Emily. Yeah, I can't stand Emily either.
Emily, no, don't like Emily. No,
no one liked her. Yeah, she just was that kind of character that no one ever liked. So,
yeah.
Was that your intention?
Nope. No. She just, I don't know. Sometimes it just comes across wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, first impressions maybe because she didn't make a good first impression on Ara with her.
Well,
she was so
to start
peppy.
with,
Yeah.
So when you started the books, how did you expect us to compare David and Jace? Did you expect it to go as it did?
I don't know what I expected. That's it's a hard question to answer. I think I kind of just wrote it because originally it was only going to be the one book, and I was going to write the sensible book that was going to encourage young girls to make the sensible choice. Don't choose the dangerous vampire, choose the healthy human. And so it was never meant to be a David or Jason choice, and Jason was just meant to be evil, and that was that. And how it all went from there was just really weird. So, but most of what happened with Jason, when he comes to her in the second book and says what he says to her after he rescues her from the carnival, and what he says to her then came as a surprise to me. So I didn't plan that. So I don't know. It was, I thought people would like Mike and wanted to be with him, but that didn't happen either. So
now well, let's talk for a second about because for people who are watching who haven't read it, so just to give like a little bit of a teaser. So basically it's about Ara, who's in Australia, and she's had a tragedy, and she comes over to the States to live with her dad, and she goes to high school, and she meets David, who's a vampire, who's smoking hot. Yeah. And like all the girls love David, but David doesn't pay them any mind. But he sees her, right? And then it goes from there, right? Like that's the whole story. The first one is in high school, and then after that it's out of high school, right?
Yeah.
And
she doesn't know he's a vampire. She doesn't know he's a vampire.
No, she doesn't. No, she doesn't know. That's right. She finds out later.
And
when I got really
David doesn't. Sorry. I was going to say David doesn't know why he's at the high school. It's not like he's a century-old vampire that's gone, hey, I want to go hang out with high school chicks. He's more like he's got a reason why he's there, and it's nothing to do with Ara. But that's what people don't know until much later. But that's not a spoiler. Later. Yeah, much later, and then you find out. Oh, so, yeah.
And we go along, yes. So you need to read all the books, definitely.
And that's the thing, right? Like you guys have heard me say this, and I just wrote it on your emoji review that I just did for you. Like you read these series. There's 15 books, right? There's 9 main ones and 6 spinoffs, and every book is like peeling away a layer of an onion. You get to the very end, and you're like, dude, I was eating an orange, like a very complicated large orange. Like this is not like you find stuff out in the last book about the first book. It's insane.
Yeah.
Like, how did you do all of that? Like, how did you come up? I mean, you're like the queen of twists and turns,
Yeah. It was really, really twisty. And it took a lot as well. And I made a lot of mistakes along the way, like trying to work things out. And I had massive folders of notes, and I had to link all these dots together and spend a lot of time listening to music and just with a pillow over my face in a dark room trying to work out these plots and how they all link up together. It was really complicated. I'm not sure I could ever do that again. So it was, I still don't know how I did it, but I don't have a magic process or anything, but it was really complicated. So it turned out for the best, though, I think.
Now, did you always plan to have all those books, or did you, did you kind of do it organically, or how did it all come about?
So it was going to be just the one book because back then I didn't like series. I wanted to be a standalone writer so I could move on all the time. And then people I posted the book to a blog series at first. It wasn't an actual book back then. People loved it and they wanted more. And I was like, oh, okay, I could do another one, but I don't really know what it's going to be about. I have no idea. So I actually wrote almost an entire book where Ara and Mike get together and they move back to Australia and all this stuff happens, but I scrapped that and then started again. And then it became a book 2. And then the story just blew up from there. And I was like, oh, okay. So this is going to be 6 books. Actually, I think it might've been, don't think it was 6 books. Oh no, because 7 was yeah. So it's 6 books. Yeah. And then I wanted to just do one more book, just the novella book, which was, I think, book 7. And that was going to be it, but it was kept growing. So
yeah.
Yes,
because then there was 7 and 8, and then it was Bound by Secrets.
Oh, Bound by
Secrets. Bound by Secrets.
Honestly,
that was
that's when I
devastating book. Yeah. That was a heart-wrenching book. That was.
Yeah.
That's when I really fell in love with David, though. I don't know why. Like that book got me into David. I was just like, oh, talk about eating humble pie, you know. But I just,
But then you blew us all out of the water with In Another Life.
Yep.
That destroyed me. That totally destroyed me.
Yeah, that was a tough book.
Hard.
Those ones. Yeah.
The third book was hard.
The third book was hard. I say this all the time too. Like I was on my patio reading and I walked to the gas station, which is literally like right on the corner, bought a bottle of wine, came back, sobbed my eyes out, drank my wine, and was blowing my nose. It was, my husband is like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, oh my God. And to this day, like, I think it's the most emotional book I've ever read, that book. Like, I think that one really took it out of me.
Yeah.
And guys, there's triggers.
I hated it at the time.
Yeah.
But then you've got to read it to understand the last 2 books. But I was devastated by their books, but you've got to read them. Yeah. And that's when I changed my mind about Jace a little bit on them books. Yeah.
Oh, I think a lot of people did.
Yeah.
So tell us about, and then actually I want to ask Amy real quick because poor girl, we're like,
she hasn't said anything yet.
It's just because I haven't gotten that far yet, lady.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
She's read 1 through 6, and you literally just finished 6 recently. Yes. So what are you thinking?
I mean, I just need to dive back in, right? So I love how 1 through 6, that was my stopping point. There was never a good stopping point between 1 through 6 because you just kept wanting to know where everything went.
Yeah.
So that's when I stopped. But I absolutely, I love the whole thing. It's like wrapped up in a nice little bow. And then I went into book 7 just to see, where people were paired together. So I'm really looking forward to it because right now in my mind, I'm like, oh, I love Jace. I can't wait to see what happens with Jace because I feel like he got I don't know. I don't want to spoil anything, but I love Jace. I love Ara. I like David. And Mike, I love how everything happened with him, but I'm hoping to see more of him in the spinoff series and everything. And from what I've heard, I will. So I'm excited for that.
Yes. Yeah, you will.
And Amy made the rookie error of finishing 6 and starting Bound by Secrets right after.
Yep.
I got pages in, and Becca was like, "You're in the wrong book."
Yeah.
Right now.
What has happened?
I kept asking her about the list. I'm like, "Don't you love the list, Rick the Dick? Don't you love it?" She's like, "What list?"
There's no list.
Yeah.
Wrong book.
Oh, killed me. So tell us about In Another Life, Angie. Where did that come from?
Oh, yeah. Where did that come from?
Yeah, I was done with Dark Secrets completely, and we had just moved to New South Wales at the time and left all of my family, and my eldest son stayed behind as well. And we were there for about 7 months. In that time, I had thought, I don't want to write anymore. I was completely miserable. It was a really awful time. But I thought, maybe I'll just do a weekly blog series. And
that's what I read
every week. Yeah, posting it every week, and it would keep my head above water, So I was obviously in a really bad emotional place at that time. So I think that's what's come through in the book. All that turmoil that I was going through has definitely come through. But yeah, I just wanted to explore, because I always thought, well, what if Ara's mum didn't actually die? Would things have been different? What if she didn't meet David? Like, I had all these what if questions, and I just wanted to explore what would happen if all these things didn't happen, because so many things along the way kind of, I guess, happened, and so many things could have not happened if it weren't for that one thing that happened. So I just wanted to explore that, and so I did that in a series every single week. And that's when I finished it. I was like, okay, I think this needs to be a book now, and I think it needs to be a part of the series. So I had it published and everything like that. So yeah,
it was really I remember when I was reading them, I actually wrote cliff notes on I don't know how you did it, but somehow you took the main theme of the first, because In Another Life is really like the first, is it really the first 6 books or first 3 books? I'm trying to remember, like the way.
I remember.
Yeah, I think it's like the first 6 books, right? Like it's that, I think, but it's in 3. And, but it's done from a different person, like what would have happened, right? With the vision, like if it was different, whatever. But like, it's the same kind of themes, but you go about getting there differently. It's really it's like, it's genius, to be honest, not to be like,
genius, did you read them every Monday? Did you read them every Monday?
No, I found Dark Secret.
I read them everything. I was looking forward to Mondays every single week, because Mondays was a horrible day, and every Monday we got an episode from Angie every Monday, and every Monday I read an episode.
No, I'm a newer Dark Secret fan. I met Angie a year ago and I started reading her books a year ago, and I found you through Stephanie Hudson's group, actually. You recommended.
Yeah.
So, which is funny because you both have the same last name. So I'm just like,
I know, it's weird, isn't it? There's a lot of Hudsons out there. We're everywhere.
So, now, and do you think In Another Life is like crucial to read to understand what happens later in the series? Like, I think that, but I don't know if you think that.
Yeah, I would say it wasn't intended to be that way, but it definitely is. I think if you want to understand the motivations that drive Ara and even David to have the way that he feels about everything, to drive everybody to how they feel and what happens in the final books, you really do need to read it, as brutal as it is, sadly. Sorry, everyone. It hurts. It's really going to.
You're not sorry.
No, I'm actually not. But there was a lot of themes in, because I know that in Dark Secrets there's a lot of, I suppose, like gaslighting, narcissism, abuse, even like emotional abuse. And I don't think that I don't think I've addressed that enough in the original series to say that's really not okay. I think it just happens and that's that. Whereas in the In Another Life books, it does get addressed. I just don't think I could have ever left the series without having said something to people like, this is not okay. And what Ara, what happens to her, the way she thinks and feels in the beginning, the way that she reacts to David and his controllingness, none of that's okay. So I think it was important to address that in Another Life. So but it's important to read that as part of the series.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's amazing.
It's brilliant.
It really is.
Brilliant. Yeah.
You're the beginning of an emotional roller coaster. Whenever anyone asks for an emotional book, I'm like, I got one for you.
I think the last
you
book,
want to cry.
Yeah.
The last book was emotional. The last book was emotional.
Yeah.
I thought that was emotional. Very much so. Yeah. I cried. Happy cry tears, but I cried happy tears. Yeah. That was emotional.
Especially when a certain character dies in that last book. Was it the last book or the second last? And that was so hard to write. Like, I found that I struggled with that. I really struggled with that. So when I realized it was for good, I was like, oh my God, what have you done? No.
Oh, and we can't say who it is, but I need him to come back. I need that person to come back. We need, so good. So what about who is your favorite character, or do you have one? And what team are you on?
So
I think I've always been a bit Team Chase. Yeah. Which I've been quite open about all along, and that's why we didn't finish on 6 books. So I do like Jace. Yeah, I think he's definitely my favorite.
Yeah.
No.
I love Jace from In Another Life. He's my
Yes.
if I had to pick one, that would be my MMC. He's so Amy, I cannot wait for you to get to it because he is like he's the perfect combination of Jace and David from the main saga. He's both of it. He's awesome.
In Another Life, yes.
And he's wicked powerful. He's so powerful. Oh, okay.
That's exciting because I was wondering how Jace's powers like would show. I was hoping to see more of it in books 1 through 6, so I'm looking forward to it because I'm like, oh, he has to have more powers than that. Like, David's so powerful, and I know Jace I know he has more in him. So that's exciting. That's really exciting.
It's good. Matter of fact, I would have to say, I think he's the most powerful out of all the guys in that book. In my opinion, I think his power to do what he does to people's heads.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
It's wicked cool, you know. So, so then the other thing too I wanted to say, and is the FMCs. I love how because of the spinoffs, we get other main characters telling their story. And I feel like every FMC gets stronger, you know, like, and Ara's relatively young, right, in the beginning. And she grows a lot through the series, right? I really like how Alora and then Aubrey, it just seems like they get stronger and stronger as they go. What are your feelings about FMCs and their growth throughout a series? And, you know, do you have any thoughts on any of that?
I mean, you know, I think it's important that there is a lot of growth, you know, so it's good to start them out as not that likable, a little bit weak and a little bit moody and stuff like that. But at the same time, you run a risk there because a lot of people will go, I hate this character. And, you know, like a lot of the 1-star reviews on Dark Secrets they'll say like, brilliant writing, love everything, but I hate Ara, you know, and so they'll stop reading on book 1 because they hate her so much. So you do run a bit of a risk, but if they hold on, they do get to see some amazing character development all the way through. So it's the most important aspect of writing, I think. If you don't have character development, you really don't have a story. So
do you have a favorite of the FMCs?
Do I have a favorite? I don't know. I love Aubrey actually because she's really sassy, you know, and I could have fun with her character, you know. So yeah, she's good. I like her.
Yeah.
It's funny, Bex, that you just said that she was badass because one of our watchers said Alora is her favorite.
Oh,
yeah. She's such a badass.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
Laura's
great.
Good.
She is really, really good. I love that.
She's steady. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's the opposite of Ara, so.
Yeah. So is that absolutely finished now? Because I know you said there might be some news you was going to tell us.
Oh.
Yeah. So I've been thinking a lot about the series lately, and you know where it ended, we didn't get to see a lot of Jace's powers in the main series. So we obviously saw a lot of that in Another Life, but we didn't see much of it in the main series. And I think we kind of missed that, like almost we need another epilogue novel, basically, so we can see the characters being happy, and there's that gap between where everything finishes and then where we see the actual epilogue in the book where it's with Aubrey again. And she's talking about how things have gone over the years, but I want to kind of explore that gap. So I don't know whether it's insane to do this or not, but I was thinking about doing a novella, and it was going to be a seasonal one, so kind of like a Christmas one where we can just explore those relationships. There wouldn't be any breakups or anything like that. So whoever's with whoever is staying that way, and the conflict would come from outside of those relationships where they're fighting together, and we get to see them use their cool powers and everything. So that's I've been thinking about it a lot, and I've actually started working on that. Ooh. And as I've begun working on it, I've realized that it won't just be a novella. It's, if I put in every character's point of view, we're going to end up with another probably quite thick book. So, and as it happens with me, when I start writing, the story gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it's, 190,000 words, and we've got a doorstop.
And it's a few books, and it's a series, That'll be
so
fun.
I am definitely working on something at the moment. So, yeah.
Well, this makes a lot of our watchers very happy. You know, Brianna says we need book 10 to make it even. And
True, yeah.
they're loving this idea. So, I mean, I just got to read. So I just got to keep reading so that when this drops, I can read it along with everybody else and enjoy the love.
Yeah, I mean, I might even release it as a blog series just to get myself back into the flow, because I had quite a bit of a break with all the stuff that was going on last year. But I might do it as a blog series because it disciplines me to write every week and get something out there, so I don't let people down. So maybe I'll do that.
So adding on to that, how about like spin-offs? Like, have you thought about like doing something with Drake, maybe his own series or something? Kind of related to Dark, like in the same universe, but a different story altogether.
Yeah. And Arthur as well. I definitely wanted to explore those avenues, but to do that, I would have to go back through every time that anything about their lives was mentioned and try to find a way not to mess that up, you know. So it will be really hard to do, but I have thought about doing it from new characters in the same universe. So kind of, I guess, starting again, but it's hard to decide where to start. Like, do I start this novel with these new characters before Ara and David end up where they end up, or do I do it after? So it's really hard to figure out where I would start that, but I definitely have thought about it.
And you've got to look at the timelines, and everything's got to come together. So
because the
I know
rules
my
change.
vote. I have a vote. I know which one I would want. Yeah, after. I'm not a huge prequel person. Going back, I like to keep moving forward. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, it's a good point actually. Yeah,
could move forward.
Yeah, that's just my 2 cents. But and which makes me, but of course you gotta do what you like. You gotta do your thing, girl. But the other thing is too is like, have you ever thought about uniting your series? Which I know you have, so I'm kind of setting you up to answer that. But you know, because I want it, right? I know a lot of people. You did a post in your group about it, and a lot of people were like, no. Like, I want it big time. So have you thought about uniting your other series, Evernight Fae, with Dark Secrets? And do you want to talk about Evernight Fae a little bit?
Oh, I love Evernight Fae as well.
So good.
I did, because I normally don't like things like I love when a TV series does a crossover. I love that. But with my own books, I always thought, I don't think I'd like that. And then after you suggested it, I've started seeing points within Evernight Fae where there could be a crossover. So I'm like, here we go. So it's a possibility.
I feel like it would be shocking. Like if you especially with books 8 and 9 and Evernight, I know you're still working on them. Like if just all of a sudden like one character showed up from Dark Secrets, we would be like, what? They're in the same universe, and then I think it would be good too, because then people who read Evernight Fae who haven't read DS are gonna be like, oh, let me go check out that series and see what's that. So I don't know, that's just
that'd be brilliant.
Could definitely be done. My brain's like ticking over now, going, okay. The writer brain.
It's just so cool. So all right, Amy girl, I know you got some questions for her.
I do. I have some comments from watchers. Brianna said that the first time she ever read In Another Life was when it came out as a blog. So she's right there with Dawn. Margie wanted to know, do authors like to have their books on Audible for those who commute? So do you ever think that you'll put Dark Secrets in an Audible form?
Yeah. Definitely. The only trouble is that because I'm an Australian author, we are limited in our access to that. So audiobooks are very expensive. You're looking at, for my book, for how big it is, up to $8,000 for the one book, which is just no author can afford that unless you're a really big name. So with Audible, you generally, you pay them a portion of the royalties that you get. In order for them to do the recording and everything. But Australian authors can't access that yet. So we have to go through other avenues. And I have explored those a little bit. But when I was about to click the button to get started on that, I kind of chickened out. I'm not sure why, but I definitely do want to get it on audio. And I've been thinking about that a lot more lately. So hopefully it won't be long. I did think I might sit and record them myself maybe, but I tried that and stopped doing it after the first page because I'm useless at reading aloud. So it's really bad. So yeah, but yes, definitely we'll do that.
Awesome. And then somebody said, I'm sorry, I just had to move up a little bit, about possibly making them into a series or a movie. Since we're talking about Audible, why don't we just move it into, a big screen? I'm for it. I don't know about you.
Sign me up.
100%. Yeah, it's hard. Those things take forever to do, sadly. So even if you get, a producer wants to take the script and, like to actually get greenlit and then to start production is a really, really long road. And I have looked into it, but without the backing of a good agent and stuff like that, it would be really hard. But I do think it's definitely something we'll do in the future. But I think we'd go for a series, not a movie, because you can really explore everything. And I wouldn't want to do that if I had to sell the rights. So if they were just going to take the rights and leave me out of it, I wouldn't want to do that, because I want to make sure that the readers get what they're expecting, and that they're a part of that too, that we can have votes on who's going to play the characters and vote on scenes that should be in the book and stuff like that. And I think that if we did that, it would be a really successful TV series, because you're including the people who are going to be watching it, so definitely going to do that, but it's just going to be a long time. So at the moment I'm teaching myself to use Unreal Engine so that I can create the entire Dark Secrets and Evernight Fae world. And you can pretty much then just walk through it, and then using MetaHuman to create the characters. And then I can stage little, I guess, kind of plays inside that universe. So it'll look a bit like a video game, but it'll be something, so that's kind of what I'm working on at the moment. But to get it to an actual TV like production company will be a really long road. So, but the more people who read it and share it and like it and talk about it, the easier that's going to be to get to. So
that's awesome. That's amazing. I mean, I can't even fathom trying to transfer a book that you put your heart and soul into, a series, and like who you would pick to cast. Brianna's asking, like, do you have a mental cast list? Have you ever tried to envision who might play Ara, who might play David in your series if you ever did make it to the big screen?
It's really, really hard. And I would want to go for new actors, I think. So just brand new people. But for looks wise, I've never been able to match someone to David and Jace. Never. Just never. There is these twins on TikTok who are Aussies. And maybe I'll pop them into like the comments below or something later. They are probably the closest thing I've come to with David and Jace ever. But for Ara, I'd probably go for a similar face to the girl who plays Mina in the newer Dracula series, the one that's got that guy from he played King Henry, I think, in one of those. Why is the name slip my head? Her name's Jessica something, but she would be the closest thing I've ever come to for what I imagine Ara to be, except younger. So yeah, but something like that I'm thinking, which I can also post that in the comments if people are interested in it. So
I'm sure people are interested.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, when you ask people what they think David would look like, or what Mike or anyone would look like, everyone posts something that is wildly different. There's no one's even posting close. It's like we're all reading a different book, so everyone's got a really, really different idea of what it would be.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, if you so your Facebook group has I think like between 1,700 and 1,800 people in it right now, right?
Yeah,
I think. Yeah. And so two things. Actually, was bringing this up because of what you were saying about everyone's ideas with the different characters, because there's been several people post things in the group saying, this is what I think David looks like. This is what I think Ara looks like. I did a post. I think you've done one where you put images together, maybe.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Face app images. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can go into her group and you can search for that and see. And also, when she hits 2,000 members, you want to tell them what you're going to do for people if they join your group?
Yeah, so we actually already did this with the Dark Secret series, but we're going to do it with the Evernight Fae series. Is when we reach that number. All the books that are currently published, I'm going to give everyone the ebook box set of those for free. Once we reach 2,000.
Yes, brilliant.
Yay.
Yeah.
So we need to get the word out there, guys, that
come on over.
Yeah. And it's also like, it's a cool group too, because there's some neat stuff. There's some diehard fans in there, big lovers of Dark Secrets. And as you're reading these books, you're going to want to get the emotion out. Like you're going to, and that's okay. You post it in the group, just do a spoiler at the top, right? Push it down. And then people, people love it. They come on, and people who, and actually, matter of fact, I think when I started reading the series back in April, I started doing that. And then all of these people who read it before reread it again. And everyone was just like, it's just such
you can have a spoiler group. You can also have a spoiler group.
Yeah, there are the spoiler events.
Yeah, they work, spoiler groups. Yeah, they're brilliant. So everybody can go into the group that's read the whole series, can talk about anything then, about any of the series. That is really popular now, having a spoiler group attached to your, to your author group. Yeah.
Yeah, we have the events set up in there, I think. I say we. I used to be an admin in the group, not anymore because I'm trying to be like no conflict of interest with all the stuff I'm doing. But there are the events in there where you can talk for each of the books, I believe. And maybe
there is. Yes, there is.
Yeah, because Facebook's coming up with a subgroup feature, so that might be a good idea going forward, Angie.
Actually, definitely, I'll do that.
Yeah. So, but it's a great group. And then there was these, I wrote these posts a while back, like a year ago, like the Duking It Out with Dave and Jace. You can like search on those. They're funny.
Everyone loved those. Yeah, they were really popular.
That's where the emojis started. Was those?
A bit of group history there.
There you go. So, all right, Amy, what other questions we got on there on the doc, or Dawn? What do you have?
Right, I've got a question here. The latest craze of reverse harem. Would you ever write a series with reverse harem, RH? They seem to be all the craze at the minute. Not for everybody, but very popular.
Yeah.
So would you ever go down that route?
I don't think I'd know how. I don't think I've ever actually read one, because I think it would interest me. But I've not actually read one. But if I were to read one and fall in love with it, then definitely that would happen, and I would write one. So make recommendations, everyone.
I have a few.
I didn't like them to start with. But there is so many out there now. They're not. I don't like to read all RH, but I do like the really good ones. Yeah. There's the ones that are good, written well, and everything.
There's definitely. I agree with you on that. I didn't like them for a long time because I felt like
I didn't.
I really like a possessive alpha, and I had a hard time with the sharing concept. And then also I felt like a lot of them would start, really good, but then like halfway through it would be like just throwing guys on for the hell of it, and then it just was like, and I just it wasn't for me. But I've since read a few that when they're done, I like the slower burn ones. So when they're done a certain way, they're really good, so
cool.
I'll give you some recs for sure.
Yes, please do, because I need to read.
And the group has recs, right? The group has recs too. So. Anyways.
So what is the most difficult part of the writing process for you, Angie?
Probably the first page or the third draft, because it's really boring. Like I don't generally tend to go and reread books very often. So to have to reread my own a million times over, by the time I get to the third draft, I'm just dragging my feet thinking, when is this going to be over? Like, how's anyone going to like this book if I can't even read it 3 times, So the third draft is probably the hardest part. So, and that's before the editing process. So there's a lot. So that's probably the hardest part.
Right. Okay. So what started your writing career?
I wanted to be a writer all my life, and I think that's pretty common with writers. I used to make books for my sisters when we were little, and get them to give me reviews and stuff like that. So it started very young, and then when I had my second child, I decided I wanted to be a children's author, because I wanted to find ways to explain to the boys what like when they're going to the doctors or going to a dentist, books were the way that I explained to them what was going to happen and what they can expect. They're autistic, and we didn't know that at the time, but I knew that they needed more help understanding things than your typical child did. So I wanted to write children's books, but I sat down and realized, actually, I have no idea how to put a sentence together in a way that makes it understandable. Like I didn't know how to get any message across or write any words. And then I'd have little kids constantly coming up to me and bugging me. And I realized that I was kind of trying to divide my attention between them and what I wanted to do. And I thought, no, it's not right at the moment. I'm going to put this away and come back to it. And then when I had my third one, I went, you know what? I don't care what anyone says. I'm going to be a writer and I'm going to learn everything I can. And I'm going to keep learning, keep reading and figuring it out until I actually am successful. And so that was where that journey started. And that's where all the other books started coming from. But I realized that I didn't want to be a children's author. I'd fallen in love with Twilight at the time. And then I read that Stephanie was also a mum. And I was like, well, if she's a mum and she can do this, then surely I can. So she was kind of my inspiration to get started and go, yeah, I actually can do this. So yeah, without her, I probably wouldn't be a writer. So
yeah. Oh, so glad you are. So glad you are.
So now that you just said you love Twilight, what's your favorite series? Like, when you read, what do you read? What genre do you read? What,
Usually like fantasy and paranormal romance. So it has to have a romance in it or it's not for me. I really want a romance. I never used to care if it had any sex scenes in it or not, but now I do. I'm kind of like, oh, it's a bit boring if it doesn't. So I like that stuff in there now. Yeah. But yeah, mostly just fantasy. It has to have some supernatural element of some sort. I do really like Colleen Hoover, even though her books are sort of the contemporary. But that's probably the only contemporary writer that I read. Most of them are just fantasy. So I hang around in fantasy book groups and, see what people are recommending. So,
yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I remember you asking that question when you was writing Evernight Play about, do you like sex scenes and all that? We was going, yes, we like sex scenes.
Yep.
I'm just, I don't have to have it in a book, but I don't like it when the book has all the romantic tension and it's all like it is a paranormal romance. The main plot line is romance. It has all this romantic tension, and then there's foreplay, and then fade to black. That it kills me. I'm like, no.
Yeah. When they deliberately,
and then it's like, So.
Yeah, having the characters, like if the writer sort of makes them, for some reason they can't have sex or go any further because of whatever reason, it's unnatural. If the characters are going to do that, you have to let them do that. And the readers want to be there for that. They don't want to close the door on it. It's no fun. So
yeah. And thank goodness
get the payoff.
You're not fade to black in any of your series. You go there. It's not super there. It's not like Loaded, right? The series, but the scenes are there.
It's just
natural.
Enough.
Yeah. Definitely. All right, Amy, what do you got?
This was from one of our compiled questions from the many times we advertised for this StreamYard. But have you ever considered making like a musical playlist to go along with Dark Secrets?
I have hundreds of them, and I have shared them as well. I do all my music lists on Apple Music, but I did do them on YouTube in the past. But yeah, there is like the way that I would plot my books is to put headphones in and listen to music and imagine almost like music videos, but to my characters. So music has played a massive, massive part, and the playlists are out there. And if anyone wants them, just hit me up and I can send you. I've got pretty much one for every single book, and you can hear the tone. Like the playlist for the Bound series, Laura's series, is very different to the playlist for even Willow Wicked has a playlist of its own, and even the In My Blood, everyone's got their own playlist, and you can feel the tone of the book in those playlists as well. It really comes through. So yes, definitely.
Oh, that's fantastic. I didn't know that. So I'm definitely going to check that out.
Yeah.
And you just reminded me
is that why you had the characters playing like David playing the piano musical in the books? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And the songs are carefully mentioned because I can't use lyrics. I would get sued for that. And you have to even be careful about using a title or an artist name. So when I'm talking about the songs in there, they're mentioned carefully, but they are there so that the readers can go, oh, that's what they're talking about right now. And they can go find the song and then play it. So we just need Kindle to allow us to put the songs in the actual book. And so you can press play while you're reading that scene, but they're not there yet. So it would be great.
I would love that. That would be amazing. And when you just said hit me up and I'll send it to you, you just reminded me. I think you're probably one of the most, if not the most, responsive authors on Facebook. Like you are. I mean, it's amazing. Like you respond to everybody's comment. People message you. You respond back. Like how do you do all that? How do you write, manage 3 kids, your life, and then also is so open to talking with your fans?
I think I just take it in my stride. I don't know. Like because Joshy, the youngest, he's 8 now and he's at school full time. So, and then the eldest is moving out now and the second eldest is moving out at the same time. So then there's only going to be the 2 kids at home. But yeah, I don't know. I think you just sort of tend to take it in your stride and just do it. So I guess you can't think of it as doing all this stuff. You have to think of it as I'm like compartmentalized, like I'm a mum to the kids. I've got writing that I need to do, but the people who are contacting me also matter to me. So they're not just a job for me. They're not just something that I have to go on and do. It's like, oh, this person has said this to me, and then I want to respond to them because they're a part of this. So it's not really a job, I suppose. It's just communicating with humans, which is like the most basic decency, I suppose. So yeah.
That's awesome. I love that about. I wanted to say that because I just love that about you. That's how you and I met. Is I commented on a post and you were like, and I was like, oh my gosh, this best-selling, amazing author. It's like, me, So that's really cool. Super cool. And I know I have a question. Then Amy, I'm going to ask you to ask some more. I have a question about. And this is like one of my big questions is I read all these vampire stories, right? All the time. And the vampires are always like morally debating about killing people. They have this like conscience, it's this battle. It's like the Edwards out there who have to eat the animals instead of the humans. Your vampires are just like, they're food, man.
They don't care.
What do you think about that? How did you come up with that? Why did you go that route? Because it is unusual. I think Anne Rice does a little bit of that too in some of her books, right? But most don't, so.
Yeah. I think that's the people, like I love psychology. I read a lot of psychology books, and I think people who are unwilling to explore that avenue maybe a little bit afraid of what it means if they do in some ways, but you can kind of blame that on Edward, the reason why my characters don't care, they're not vegetarians, because I was reading Twilight and thinking, just bite her, for God's sake, just bite her, so all the morals in that book, they did annoy me a little bit. As much as I love the series, it was just like, come on guys, please, I'm frustrated here. So I just wanted to make sure that I did things differently, and I like to make people fall in love with the bad guys, and I like to give you something so heinous and then make you relate to it. So I wanted the characters to be realistic, like vampires. If there really were vampires, they're not going to care what a human thinks. Like most people, if you eat animals, you don't really care what the cow thinks, like you're going to go and eat it, so yeah.
For non-vegetarians.
So vampires, I think, would be the same. Sorry?
I was going to say for non-vegetarians.
Yeah, see, I'm actually a vegan, so I do care what the cow thinks. But if I was a vampire, I would eat humans. So
I know we have vegans probably watching. Yeah, no, we yeah. So, anyways,
well, that's what they say. How do you know if someone's a vegan? Don't worry, they'll tell you. So
yeah, they will.
For sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. All right, Amy, what do we got?
Alrighty. So one of the questions were, a lot of people are Team Jace and Team David. But so a lot of people do not like Jace because of his actions in book 1. They can't get past like that part of it, Yeah. But then when you go on to the next few books, there's a whole part of David that they can't, that people just look past, Do you find that interesting that some people really cannot forgive Jace, but have no problem forgiving David?
Yeah, it is.
I'm one of them.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, you are.
See, before I became a writer, I didn't really know just how messed up everyone in the world is, and it's amazing how people can't forgive Jace, but they can forgive David, and honestly, I think he does worse to Ara than what Jace does because of
he
the
does.
place where Jace's comes from. Yeah. So, but I think first impressions last a lot of the time, and because our first meeting of Jason isn't a pretty one, that sticks with people, and they're unwilling to let that go. Whereas our first impression of David is a good one as well. So, people are willing to hold on to that, but. It has been a big surprise. Sorry, my son's just come in. I told him not to come in. It's been a big surprise to me through the years to push and see how far I can make David go before people will no longer like him. And surprisingly, they still like him. So I'm like, wow, interesting.
We love the bad boys. You've got to love the bad boys.
Yeah. He's amazing. He's an asshat, man. Sometimes David, he's not a nice guy,
No.
So
he can be. But then that's the thing is, and then I realized that about myself when I'm reading books. I'm like, I'm exactly the same as everyone who likes David. I kind of do like the bad guy. So even no matter what he does wrong, and I'm like, oh God. Not in real life though, because if my husband treated me like that, he would be getting, like not going to happen. So yeah.
Yeah, but it's fantasy. It's fantasy, isn't it? So
that's right. Yeah. So it's okay.
And did you always know who would end up with Era? Did you always know?
Oh, be careful what you say because we don't want to spoil it. But that's a
good point. Actually, I think I fought against what the masses wanted for a really, really long time because I did want her to end up with one person, a certain person. Anyone who's read it who knows who I'm talking about. And a lot of people wanted her to end up with another one. And there were a few in there who wanted to end up with Mike, but I think it's pretty clear that that's not going to happen. But yeah, so I didn't plan that, but I did want it to be a certain person. And that's kind of why the series is so long, because I was spending all that time fighting against it when what I wanted was one thing and then what everyone else wanted was another. And I always like to give my readers what they want, because why read a book if it's not what you want? So I think
we know that.
I'm hoping I managed to do it in a way that's made everyone happy. So
yes,
I think so.
But it wasn't planned.
a lot of people don't like love triangles, right? Like I hear that a lot, and I'm always like, but Angie is big into HEAs. Like you are going to get, it's all going to work out in the end, like it's all, and it's mind blowing actually. Like when we can't spoil it, but when I read the ending, I was like, that never occurred to me what you came up with. Like it's out, and it's so smart. Like,
I had no idea. I had no idea.
And looking back, it's like, I know Amy's like, I have absolutely no idea. But looking back, it's like, oh my God, that it makes so much sense. But it's one of those things, and I love it when authors do that. I love it when they throw something in and you're like blown away, but then you're like, oh wait, I should have known that, and that's kind of one of those moments for me.
Yeah.
That was genius, I thought. Did you like the ending? I mean, obviously you wrote it, but were you happy with how it all turned out?
Yeah, ultimately, definitely, yeah. I mean, the only regret I think is the Elias thing. That's my only regret. So I think I not that I would change it, but explore that more for Elias and the character he was with at the end. But I don't think we got to see enough of that. And I think it developed too quickly with that other character that we didn't really explore the Elias thing. So the only regret. But
You know what I've written everywhere, all over your group. Like whenever I can, I'm like, we need a series for Drake and Elias, and we need a love triangle. We need hey, maybe we can get you into RHs.
Yeah, I'll start reading them and I'll see how I go. But I will explore the Elias thing in the next DSS book that I am working on, I think. But where the character that he's with is still on this side of the spiritual plane, if that makes sense. Don't want to spoil anything. So
Yeah. And Amy, girl, you are in for it, man. He is.
I'm looking forward to all of
him.
Yeah.
I loved him. He's so great.
Yeah.
And there's so many great characters too, like Falcon as well. I love Falcon.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I love him.
And girl, you got a steam scene coming up, and I think it's the final book with Falcon.
Yeah.
That is.
Oh yes.
I think it's your hottest scene.
Oh yeah.
I think it's the hottest of all your books. It's hot. I was like,
yeah. I love how resistant Falcon is to that relationship at first, and you know how he's scared of the person who might find out about it. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super good. You've got it all to
Good
come,
conflict.
Amy. You've got it all to come. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
And I want to say too, before we get off, and I don't know how much time you have. I know it's your son's birthday tomorrow, right, Angie?
Yeah, but we've kind of been celebrating all weekend. So he had a party last night, and then we've just got morning tea tomorrow, and so yeah.
Okay, because I know we have a bunch more questions, and I don't know if there's more questions on the comments, Amy. If I haven't been paying attention to it.
No, I think we're good. If you just want to go off of the questions that we have from.
Yeah, if you have time, we'll keep going, Angie. I know we're at an hour right now. Okay.
Yeah.
So I wanted to say, I thought this was kind of a big deal to say for people who haven't read the series, that a lot of people tell me that, you know, it's 15 books and they're big books, right? And so they're overwhelmed by that. You know, they're overwhelmed about starting a series that's going to take them, you know, that long, especially since this is a really emotional series. I mean, you're going to have to take a break. And so I'm always telling people, hey, here are breaking points. Like, these are natural stopping points that you're going to get an HEA and feel good about it. And then you can read something else and then come back for more emotional devastation. So I think that for me, the breaking points, and I was going to see what you thought were as well, was at the end of book 6 was a good breaking point. You get a good HEA from that. At the end of Bound by Secrets, which is, I think of them as like books 1 through 15. I don't think of them as spinoffs. So for me, Bound by Secrets is book 9, when it's really book 7 in the main saga, you know?
Yeah.
At the end of IAL, and then after that, you're reading the other 3, I think. What do you think are good points for people to have that like breather?
Yeah. So if you like standalones, you could stop reading at book 1 and leave it at that. If you like Mike, you can stay there and don't go any further, and you'll live happily thinking that's how things ended. And then yes, definitely book 6 is a stopping point. If you're going to stop at book 6, do not read Bound, because it draws you right into the next. You have to read book 7 if you go to Bound. You'll have to know what's going to happen, because it leaves it pretty awful, really. So yeah, I think what you said is pretty much spot on. Yeah, definitely.
And now that you just said that, Bound 1 with Alora, it's funny. The beginning, it's nice.
Yeah.
So I think people should know this, like, because you get to the end of 6 and you've been through this huge emotional roller coaster, and I remember the epilogue in 6 is what got me to start 7, and I remember thinking, I'm just going to give it like 2 chapters. You know, like, I'm going to read book 7. I'm going to give it 2 chapters. If I get invested and I don't feel like I'm getting huge emotional devastation, I'm going to keep reading it. If I'm still being overwhelmed, I'm going to take a break and then I'm going to come back. I remember thinking that at the time, because it's a lot, you know. And I started reading 7 and I was dying. I was laughing so hard with the Rick the Dick.
Yeah.
So 7 really comes off. I think it does. So when I say 7, I mean Bound 1. Yeah. It really comes across as it's just lighter. It's funnier, you know. Yeah. So I really recommend people to give that a shot. And I remember I telling that to you too, Amy, but you made the mistake of reading Bound by Secrets, and then that screwed you up, you know. So
I do agree that Bound 1 is a completely different tone. From the first 6 books. Like, it's a completely different tone. I love the characters so far, so I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you haven't read Bound and you've gone straight on to book 7.
Because she wasn't reading the box set. So
there's a warning label that says don't read this book in case you haven't read those 2. But the way that my Kindle opened up, it went straight to chapter 1 and bypassed the warning label. Thankfully, Rebecca corrected my mistake before I went too far.
Yeah. You would like maybe a chapter or something, I think.
Yeah. Oh, not so bad. Not so bad.
Yeah. But that brings a good point that there's the box set out there. And so you guys should just get the box set, because they're all in order. You're not going to have that happen. You know, it's also KU. And then even if it's not KU, it's pretty inexpensive, right? The box set of all the ebooks.
Yeah, I think it's $9 at the moment. So
$9 for 15 books. You can't beat that.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, you know. So
I mean, that's kind of bad, because people think, oh, it's so cheap for that many books, it must not be very good. But it's that way because I just want people to be able to, you know, everyone should be able to have access to books. So I kind of just want people to be able to read it. So
And that's been your thing from the beginning. I remember when I talked to you, like personally, like you've always been like, I just want people to read it, enjoy it. It's not about making money for you. It's always been about just, you spend all this time pouring your heart into these books. You just want people to enjoy it,
Yeah, that's
I
right.
love that about you.
Yeah.
I do.
And they're huge books. Huge. I don't know if any like this, because I loved it so much. I have it in digital version. I have it in physical version. It's gonna take me a while to get all of them, but like this is just book one, people. Like that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. It smells like a book.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so let's knock out some of these other ones, guys. What other questions do we have? I don't even have it up on my screen. I've been letting you all run this show. And I'm sorry, I don't know if you guys can tell I'm getting over a cold. I don't know if my voice doesn't sound normal or not, but it's been,
Angie, I just saw you drinking out of a mug. Is it a curved lip?
It is. See?
Yes.
I don't know if you can tell from that angle, but yes, it is a curved one. It's my
Does
favorite
that help
mug.
with dripping on the?
It does, yeah.
I have that problem.
Yeah, I hate it.
I hate it.
This mug is my favorite. Well, you can't really see because it has my name, but it's not a curved lip, so I'm always wiping it to make it not drip down onto my desk.
Yep. And who's got time for that? Like it's annoying.
So pretty. Are you still selling these on your Etsy store? Someone was asking that the other day.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. So maybe I should stop showing it.
It got a bit complicated because just running a store there's a lot of, like, in Australia you've got things like GST and everything, and it was just like I need to write and do covers and do marketing and all that other stuff. So I was like, I'll leave the store for now and we can revisit it again later. So, but yeah, I will definitely go back. But the mugs on that store weren't curved lip ones. I think they were just straight mugs.
They're straight.
Yeah, but I need to source some of these kinds of mugs and then sell those because, and like, it could say Ara's mug on it or something.
Yeah, that's great. All right, so let's see, what do we got left that we definitely want to hit? And then what I'd like to do is I'd like to have you back for Evernight Faye at some point. Like maybe have you release book 8 and 9, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, however long that's going to be, but that's going slow at the moment.
Yeah. What's going on with that? Is there anything?
They are written.
Okay.
But I need to tweak things, and I didn't write the ending deliberately because I wanted to. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why I didn't write the ending, but it needs to be written, and obviously I need to do the third draft, which is the dreaded part for me. So I'm procrastinating a little bit. I have opened it up and done a bit of the third draft, but I can't do a third draft without starting from the beginning and going all the way through to get the flow. And unfortunately, I keep doing the third draft up to one certain point of the book and then stopping for weeks and weeks on end. And then I have to come back and start again. So I'm exhausting myself with it, and I'm sick and tired of reading that same thing over and over again. So I just need to be disciplined and just focus. But the first part of the year, from like January through to, I think, the end of May, we just have an endless amount of birthdays in my family, and we're a big family and big close family. So it's just endless things that we have to go to and deal with. So it's going to have, I think most of my writing usually gets done in June, July period and through August. So I think I'll get stuck into it then, and hopefully we can have a release this year. Fingers crossed. So
yeah. Well, we're glad to have you back. I know it's been a tough year for you. So it's a tough year for a lot of people, but you've had some stuff going on. You took a little bit of a sabbatical, but it's nice to have you back for sure. And it looks like we have a question. Amy, don't we have a question there on the comments, I think?
Yep. Brianna wants to know if Evernight Faye will ever be available in Barnes & Noble Nook.
Oh.
The Nook.
Barnes & Noble, yeah.
Possibly.
Really?
The thing is, if you want to be a KU author, you have to sign on exclusively to Kindle. So you've got a choice of either having people access the books in Kindle Unlimited or having to buy them. So yeah, I've kind of kept it in KU, which means I can't put it on Nook. But if I take it out of KU, then I can. So yeah, it's a hard one. But if someone needs it for their Nook, let me know, because I can just give you the right file for that. Like, I'm happy to do that. I don't have a problem with it. So I can use Book Funnel. So yeah, if you got a Nook and you really need to read it on that, just PM me and we'll sort it out.
Yeah, sorry, I was getting I've had a family emergency and it looks like I'm getting a phone call. So I missed a little bit of that. I'm just finding out if I need to jump off this or not. But
Yeah.
I don't know if you said all right, like Kindle Unlimited won't let you put ebooks on other platforms. That's the issue.
Yeah.
Did you say
That's
that?
right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, do we have any other questions on the comments, guys?
Comments? No, we are good on comments. Dawn, is there any questions that you wanted to ask that we have remaining?
I think I've done all my questions now.
Yeah. We'll save some more for next time too. This has been fun.
Yeah.
Angie, do you have anything else that you want to say? You've got the group's attention.
No, not now I'm in the spotlight. No, no, I think we've covered everything really.
Yeah, we just love you,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
we love. And I know I feel like I've talked a lot on this call. I didn't mean to talk so much, but I am like
No, it's
majorly
great.
fangirling. You know, like, I really love Dark Secrets, and you know, I've read. I think we've all, you know, like Amy's a big reader, Dawn's a big reader. We all read a lot. Like we read, like we are on the extreme scale. Like we read books. Like we read a book like every 2 days or something. Like we read a lot. You know.
Yeah.
And that's why we have the group, right? That's why I formed the group and everything. And I have to say, out of all the books I've read and all the series I've read, I've never read a series that was so unpredictable and so many twists and turns. I tell people all the time, like, you are a mastermind. You are a evil mastermind.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, evil, but you are a mastermind, and there's nothing else there. There's nothing out there like it. You know, there's nothing that I've read, and I just love it. And I know Dawn feels the same way. Amy feels the same way. People watching right now feels the same way. You know, so thank you. We just love you.
Thanks.
Thanks for being
That's
brilliant.
a nice thing to hear.
Yeah. Thanks for you know, that's my biggest thing is I like unpredictability for me. That's my biggest thing. And you do that in spades. So you're awesome. We love you.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyways. All right. I think we're gonna wrap up, guys.
Yep. All right. Thanks
All
so
right.
much for having me. It's been really fun.
Thank you. Yeah. And we'll do it again for sure.
Yes.
All right.
Cool.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.